Okay, so we're going to make this drawing called Figure 8-90. Looking at this, we're going to try to use our strategy of drawing positive features first, then negative features, then fillets and rounds. With the complexity of this part, we're going to have to interchange those and mix those around just a little bit, but you'll kind of see how that goes. First thing we're going to do on this drawing is a 200 millimeter by 120 millimeter rectangle for this main body of it. So we're going to create that. In Fusion, the way this looks is like this. The first thing to do is, your drawing comes up normally in inches, because that's what you have it set to, is to default to inches. Very rarely are we going to do millimeter drawings, so what you do is you come up here to Document Settings, to Units, and change that to millimeters. And there you go. Alright, first thing you're going to do is you're going to pick a sketch, draw it on that top plane, and you're going to draw a rectangle on that top plane. Draw a rectangle around your origin like so. Go ahead and center it up the way that you all know how to center it. So use your point command, put a point here on the midpoint of that side, point on the midpoint of that side, and then use your horizontal and vertical constraint to constrain that to your origin. Next, as we looked at just a moment ago, this is 200 millimeters wide by 120 tall. So let's get that set. Go ahead and finish your sketch there. From there, if we look back at this drawing, it is 90 units tall. And you should reference back and forth from this to your drawing all the time. So we're going to extrude this. For this one, we're going to go ahead and just go that one direction, and we're going to make it 90 off that bottom plane. And okay. Alright, next, we're going to draw this little portion over here on this end of it. To look at that, we're first going to draw this arc, or the circular piece here on the end. Should be pretty basic, much like what we did on one of our last drawings. So we're going to go back here to Fusion, and to know there that is a radius of 25 is the first thing we need to work on. So radius of 25. So we're going to come back to here. You can either click down here to click on that plane and select like that. That works relatively nicely. Or you can come over here to our origin and select that bottom plane right there, the XY. Either way, we're going to come over here and draw this. We're going to start it here on the object, come straight over. Remember, if you click and hold right on top of that, you can drag an arc around. As long as you make this end of the arc line up with the other end of the arc, it will make it tangent. And we'll finish that off like so. Finish off that nice little piece. Now we're going to just throw in a couple dimensions. Actually, first, before we throw in the dimensions, we're going to throw in a couple constraints. We're going to constrain the center point of that circle to the origin. Gets it centered up nicely on that end of it. And then next, we are going to... Actually, we're not going to do that next. We're going to put in a dimension here next. Next, we're going to dimension this. And we just said a moment ago that was 25. So now, it's looking good, besides, wow, it jumped off the side there. I got to make this end of it lined up with this end. That's just going to be your collinear constraint. So we're going to come up here, go collinear, that, collinear to that. So now the only thing I'm missing is this thing stretches out here. We got to set this distance. To set that distance, we come and look at our drawing. To the center of that circle, it is 18 plus 20, which is 38. So we're going to go ahead and set a dimension there. And put that out there at 38 if I don't misclick. There we go. 38. That is all black now. If it's not all black, you got to just drag it around and see what you're missing. See how it moves. Maybe you just didn't get this tangent constraint in. Add it in. Whatever it is, fix it, make it so it's all black and you're good. Finish your sketch. Extrude this. Whoops, it was already selected. And that is extruded at 18. So we're going to go 18 there, and there you go. Next, we're going to do our next sketch for our next little part of it. Our next part of it's going to be this portion of it right here. It's going to be basically a repeat of what we just did. So we're going to come here, back to Fusion. We're going to create our sketch here on that surface, and draw this object starting on that side, straight out. Again, remember, click and hold. We can draw our arc, and draw this. Back to, come on, back to there. There we go. So that made that nice little shape there. Goodness, got choked up there a little bit. Here, we're going to make this circle just concentric to that circle. So it puts it at the same center point. So concentric from there to there. Oops, I misclicked. There we go. And then the size of that is just 18, I believe, if I remember correctly. 18. Made it all black. For whatever reason, this one did go ahead and constrain it to that side. Why the first one doesn't, I don't know, but this one does decide to do it. But if it didn't, just make that line collinear. Should turn it all black. Finish your sketch. Extrude it. And we're going to extrude that at 8. There we go, 8 right there, and that's perfect. Next, we're going to kind of leave that to the side a little bit, and we're going to come up here and we're going to do a negative feature. So our negative feature we're going to do, let's go back here to Fusion. We're going to do this large hole that goes out here. We're going to subtract out this whole center of it. On the next step, we're actually going to add back in some of these details that are down here. So to do that, we're going to come back to Fusion. We're going to go Sketch on this top surface. We're going to pick our rectangle command and go from over here down to over here. And we're going to dimension that rectangle. Oh, actually, before we dimension it, I'm going to go ahead and center it up on my origin. So I'm going to go over to my point command, put my point there, put my point over here, do my horizontal and vertical. Then I'm going to dimension that. And what I'm going to dimension here is I'm going to dimension it from that side to there, and the measurement was 12. So I'm going to set that to 12. Then next, I'm going to dimension this one. Now this one, instead of making it 12, I'm going to click it here, and I'm going to make it match this one. It just links those two together. So then no matter what, if, oh, it changes the design, and this changes to 5, or this changes it to 20, whatever it is, it changes both of those, and that's just a good design to do that. So once you have that, you can go ahead and finish your sketch and extrude that and cut it. All right, so we're going to extrude and cut this. So I'm going to select it. We're going to change this to a cut. The distance we're going to cut is all, and I need to flip my direction. So I'm going to flip my direction, and there we go. That is beautiful. Okay. Let's go ahead and go on with our next part. Everybody good there? So what we're going to do next is we're going to add in this interior detail. This is some stuff going on here. So we're going to add in all this. To do it, we're going to add it on that plane that's right there out there in the middle of our object. So the way that's going to look is like this. And I go create sketch. I'm going to hover over top of these planes. Not that one, not that one. Oh wait, maybe it was that one. There we go. There's an XZ on mine. So that plane there, that's out there in the middle of my object, and it should put me right there. Now the problem with this is that I don't love about Fusion. This was difficult. I had to look this one up. I can't see inside of this block because I'm actually drawing on that middle plane. Right here on the side, I missed this tab or this button, slice. If you click on that and put a check mark on slice, notice what happens. It slices that off so you can see the interior of your object and see these lines. That's an important part. So now we're just going to start drawing those shapes we saw just a moment ago. So I'm going to start with drawing a circle over here and a circle over here. Over here on the side, click slice. All right, so we have these two circles drawn. We need to start constraining these a little bit. So first off, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cancel out that command. There we go. Goodness. We're going to constrain these a little bit. First, they have to line up with each other. So really simple. We can use a horizontal and vertical. Click the center point of that one, and that lines them up nicely so they're locked in there. Okay, next, we want both of them to be the same size. So if we come up here to the constraints and go equal, I can make that one equal that one. And now we're both the same size. So I change the size of the one, it changes the size of the other one. That's nice. Okay, let's look back at our drawing. Another couple things we can do is it's 120 millimeters between the center points of them, and they're 50 millimeters up. Let's do those two first, 120 and 50 to the center from the bottom and between the two. So I'm going to go from center point to center point, set that to 120. From the center point down to the bottom edge, and set that at 50. Okay, so now next, let's take a look at another couple tidbits. All right, the next thing, the size of these is it's a radius of 32, And then also, there's these two parallel lines that go here and here. So let's first put in those two parallel lines, and then we'll work on that radius of 32. We'll see what that looks like. So first, we'll put a line that goes from this circle. So just click there on the circle. Should give you a little X there. Go straight across. You should have that parallel symbol showing up that you're parallel to the origin. Click there. That symbol shows up there. Now make another one that's down here somewhere. From there to there. Again, that parallel to the other one shows up. Now if you go to dimension this, notice I dimension this, it gives me a diameter. Well, I really wanted the radius there. What you have to do is, it always gives a diameter of a circle. Trim these out so these are no longer circles. So if you hit T for trim, chop off that little piece in between, there and there. Now notice when you dimension this thing, oops, I didn't click on dimension. Now notice when you dimension this thing, now it gives you the radius. And you can set your radius to, again, 32 is what it was. So we're getting there. Okay, so now let's find a couple more dimensions. Let's go ahead and click back on our drawing. Next, it tells us this is 20 units between these two pieces here. And what else can we do? And then also that this thing is centered up in the center of the hole. So we'll get those two little tidbits here next. So let's take a look at Fusion. So to start with, we're going to dimension from here to here. And I'm going to pull it out here to the side where I can see it a little bit easier. And we're going to make that 20. Now notice what we got though. Is this, if I grab a hold of it, this whole thing moves up and down in there. We don't want it there. We want it locked into the center. So we're going to do that next. To do that, what you're going to do is this. We're going to dimension from the center point here of the circle to one of the lines, either the top one or the bottom one, doesn't matter, and pull this dimension out. Now for this, we want it to be 10. We want it to be half, but instead of doing it half, I want to show you a cool little feature of this. If we click on this other dimension, that is the 20 dimension, click on it. It tells me that's D18. That means it's dimension 18. And now go a slash 2. So that's going to be D18 divided by 2. So it makes it half of that. It makes us 10 units. So no matter what we change this to again, if we change this to 30, that's going to be 15. If we change this to 2, whoops, I didn't get it changed. Change that to 2, it's going to change it down to 1. So no matter what we do, it makes that other one half that dimension. And that's what we want. We want it linked to there that way. Okay, so this thing's really looking pretty good here now. All I ever do here is I just grab it and see how it moves. Notice how it moves. It moves side to side. We want this thing centered up on our piece. So to do that, we're just going to really simply go over here. Go ahead and put in a point. Put a point on the midpoint of that line, either the top or the bottom one, doesn't matter which one. Put a point there. And then horizontally and vertically constrain that to my origin. And notice that turned our drawing all black. Okay, so now, this is all black, but however, if we look at it, it still doesn't really match this one. These are circles on our drawing, and here these are not circles. They come out to straight out and then down. They are filleted here. We will fillet to the very end, so we'll ignore those fillets, but it's going to come straight on over. So we need to add that part in. To do that, you're just watch this first time, and I'll try to kind of talk you through it and try to troubleshoot this as we go. It's going to be a little bit different for everybody. All right, so for example, I'm going to start by drawing a line. I'm going to connect my line up here to the top of this circle, and actually I'm going to do the one on this side first. A little bit easier to see. I'm going to connect to the top of the circle there. I'm going to come straight out, down, and then straight over to here. Now, first thing we got to do is, the first thing I do is just grab it and see how it moves. So I'm going to grab this and, whoa, look how this thing moves. All right, first, this line goes at a weird angle. I don't want that line going at a weird angle. What could I do to make that not go at a weird angle? Just spit it out. Top and bottom could be parallel, or if we just add this one to make it go straight up and down, just add a horizontal and vertical. So click on that line and add a horizontal and vertical for mine. Now notice what that did. It turned one of my lines black up there. This one's no longer black. Let's click on this one and see, or it's not black. All right, now what's wrong with this one? There's a couple things wrong with this one. What's one of the things wrong with this one? Somebody different. What could I do to this corner of it? Yeah, go ahead. The angle changes. What could I do? How do I want that angle to be? Similar to what this angle is. Yeah, perpendicular. So we come up here, we select perpendicular, and we make these two perpendicular to each other. Oops, if I don't misclick, that is. Oh, come on, did I not get perpendicular selected? Let me try again. perpendicular.